Welcome back to Hot Takes and Deep Dives. This is Jess, and I am here with a new friend. This is somebody who we have gotten in the habit of chatting via voice memo through Instagram like pretty much every single day. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the host of the unpopular podcast, Jacques Peterson. Hi, Jacques.
Hey, thanks so much for having me. I love our voice notes. I'm so glad we can actually have like a real conversation.
I know this is the first time that we're actually seeing each other.
I know. I actually would voice note you more, but I try to like be aware of it because don't you have like people that will voice note you like too much and you're just like, can you just fuck off? So I'm always self-conscious of being that person.
So here's the thing, because yours are quality, I invite you to voice memo me more often. Actually, I'm a voice memo type of girl, like not even through IG, like I have friends that like we just, rather than text, it's just such an easier form of communication.
Oh, I know. And you don't have to actually like speak to someone, which is nice a lot of the time. Like you can just come back and like answer it whenever you want. I love it. Like for someone that's like super antisocial like me, it's perfect.
You're in Australia. Are you in Sydney?
Yes.
And so can you just give us all an update as to what is happening in Australia, specifically Sydney right now? Just are you guys totally open?
Yeah, pretty much. We've been open for a long time. So we had a pretty strict lockdown right at the start. And then after that, like, it's been fine. I've been working from home since it started. They tried to get me back into the office and I'm like, I'll quit my fucking job. I'm not even kidding. I'm not coming back into the office. So I'm still working from home, which I love. Yeah, everything's fine. Like sometimes they'll put a mask mandate for like a weekend or something because they've had like an outbreak. But an outbreak here isn't that many. It's like 10 people or something. And then you'll have to like wear a mask on the train and that'll be it.
Right.
So it's fine. I look at the stuff in America and I'm like, God, I'm like so lucky over here and you guys are always like fighting over masks because it's so like politicized in America too. And I'm like, I'm so glad that
America's a mess in general. And I think Australia is not even letting Americans in yet. All right. Well, we are gathered here today because we have both completed the 7-episode experience. That is The Big Shot with Bethenny. This has been my obsession for the past 7 weeks. Or no, it wasn't even 7 weeks because they were doing 2 a week.
It went by very quickly.
Too quickly. I would have loved an additional 4 episodes.
I don't know how I feel. I don't know how many episodes I could have taken because it was it wasn't good, but it was like fascinating, you know?
Cover your ears because we are going to talk about who won the show, or I'll put a timestamp for, because we're also going to talk about the Beverly Hills premiere as well as the bunch of episodes of New York that have already aired. So if you don't want spoilers for The Big Shot with Bethenny, although just listen to this, it's fine. Like this isn't going to really affect your life.
It's not one of those shows that's going to like ruin it if you've been spoiled.
We're not ruining that Kelly Clarkson won American Idol. It's fine, guys. What was your level of fandom or opinion of Bethenny just on Housewives, like pre?
I absolutely love Bethenny. I'm one of the like annoying Bethenny fans. Yes, I know that she's a horrible person. I get it. I don't care. Like, I think she's incredible. Love watching her. I met her once. She was exactly the same in person in a good way.
Wait, where did you meet her?
In Sydney. So one of my colleagues was actually interviewing her and I'm like, I'm coming to that because I'm like, I have to meet Bethenny. And I remember we both dressed in like all black because we thought that's what you do in New York. So we both showed up dressed in all black. And when we came into the room, Bethenny was there with her PR people and she was doing the mention it all. I think she was filming like a Snapchat video or something doing mention it all. And, yeah, she was really cool. And I was trying to get her to shade Beverly Hills because it was when there was a really bad season of Beverly Hills. I can't remember because I've really been into Beverly Hills the last few seasons. Like I love it. But I think it was the last season before Lisa Vanderpump or something. And I wanted
like Puppygate?
Yeah, I think it was the one before that which was really boring when Teddy very first came on and like nothing happened. There was like no drama. It was just really flat. And I wanted Bethenny to like comment on the show of like, you know, they need to shake it up. Like I wanted the headline of like Bethenny Frankel thinks that Beverly Hills needs a shake up. And I was trying to get her to shade it and she wouldn't do it. And then after we like wrapped and I like posed, you know, got a photo with her, I'm like, oh, I wanted you to shade Beverly Hills. And she's like, I know you did. Like, she's just like, she knows everything you're trying to do, like, because she's so smart and she's so on the ball. So I love her. I was excited to watch The Big Shot with Bethenny. I it's such a bizarre show, right? Because the format is like all over the place, because you watch it and you're like, it almost feels like the whole thing almost feels like a pilot that's going to be presented to a network, and then a network head's going to go, okay, this is what we need to change to like make it into a real show. But it's like half developed.
But that's the reason that I actually liked it. I don't need a totally polished, although this did feel polished, like it was filmed beautifully, it was shot really well. It's very glossy, but I mean, I loved that it was a mess. I love that halfway through she starts doing car confessionals, just starts doing straight face to camera asides. She gave an interview to, maybe it was In Style, and she said that she shut down production for 3 days and was like, I need to collect my thoughts. She shut down production for 3 days, came back and was like, all right, this is how we're going to do this. And I think that's when she started like bringing in the random people and doing the car confessionals and doing all the sort of random stuff. That's literally what happened.
I loved the feeling that anything could happen on this show. Like, I do agree, because it wasn't like, okay, I know that we're going in challenge elimination, but it didn't feel like that, because she could change, should be like, you know what, I'm bringing in someone new. You know what, we're doing this. The jobs changed like all the time of what they were. Yeah, it was weird. I still think it needed polishing. Like, I agree that I liked the unstructured format, but I feel like the format that they had was good, but they needed to do something more with it, because there was like something missing. But it also made it really interesting, because it's not like, we're so used to shows being so overproduced now, so fake. You know, you're watching these shows, you're like, oh my God, that's scripted. Oh my God, they're doing that for the cameras. You really didn't have this with that show, with this show at all, which was so refreshing.
Yeah, that's exactly the reason that I loved it. Obviously, we know this was produced by Mark Burnett, but the other EPs were Alex Baskin and Doug Ross, who are from Evolution, the guys who do Beverly Hills and Vanderpump Rules.
That surprises me a lot, especially with Mark Burnett as well, because I think it speaks to how much power Bethenny has, because nobody else would be able to come in and go, I want to do like a reality show my way without a structure. But like Bethenny was able to finagle that somehow with these huge like executive producer bigwigs. They obviously had a lot of faith in her. It may have been misplaced, because I feel like this show has not made a dent. Like, I type it into Google News, there's not even that many articles about it. The most articles are Nicole Rose, who's doing all the press for the show.
She is on a fucking podcast tour.
Oh
as
my
if
God.
she's Joe Rogan.
Do you remember I got an interview with her right at the start, and I messaged you and I was like, I'm surprised not everyone's trying to get Nicole Rose on their show. I feel like I've got like a big scoop.
You were high on life when you got DJ Nicole Rose, who, by the way, I found completely intolerable on the show and in all of her interviews.
But don't you think she was?
And I listened to all of them, because you had one and a couple other people who I genuinely love. I was like, let me see what they can do with Nicole Rose. She's just really fucking annoying. What can I say?
I loved her. You know what? Because I interviewed her. I thought she was so nice. I DM her now. I think she was the breakout star.
You are still in touch with DJ Nicole?
I message her. I give her advice.
I want you to pull out your phone. Can you please read your last few messages right now?
Okay, wait. I will. I
want to hear the advice that you're giving her.
Wait. Oh, she left a review on my podcast. I thanked her for writing me a review, which I was like, oh my God, that's so nice. It was like, you rock, Nicole, like from Nicole Rose. I'm like, she's iconic. Don't you agree she was the breakout star of this show, though? She carried it up until the finale.
She was a presence, I'll say that. I wouldn't say she carried it. She was there. She was a force.
Oh my God, she definitely was a force. This show would not have been as watchable as it was for as long as it was without Nicole. And that's why they kept her in until the episode before the finale, because it was all about Nicole. That's all anyone can talk about.
The name on everyone's lips is DJ Nicole Rose.
Nicole Rose.
Now, apparently, that was a real HSN special. That was a real thing, because I was very skeptical that this thing never aired. Apparently, this did actually air. I still would like an air date and actual proof. She claims that it did air and that friends of hers saw it, but I need to see that with my own two eyes. I want to see how much of it aired. And this kind of goes along the lines of what she said in that In Style interview. She refused to she refused to do eliminations, like a formal elimination the way they used to do in The Apprentice, like at the boardroom. And she also refused to do a catchphrase.
Oh, really? They wanted her to do one, like
Yeah.
your big shot is whatever.
You
what it would be.
you just shoot. What would it be?
You missed the shot. You missed the shot.
You missed the shot. Or are you going to shoot your shot, or like you didn't shoot your shot, or you missed the shot? That would have been.
What's hilarious?
They wanted her to do it, and she refused.
What's funny is that she literally speaks in like catchphrases and one-liners in all facets of her life. Then it's like, can you do a one-liner? No. So it's like the one time she won't do it. Well, when I had DJ Rose on my show, I said, is this a real job? Because I'm like, I don't know if we believe this is a real job. Is there a salary? She said there was a salary, that they knew the salary going in. She said it was comfortable. I said, how much is it? She wouldn't tell me. So apparently it is a real job.
Yes, I did get confirmation. I mean, look, I was skeptical about everything going in. Based on the first 2 episodes, and I think a lot of people initially just watched those first 2 episodes, and then if they were encouraged by other people to stick with it, then they wound up just literally sitting down for 6 hours and just blowing through the whole thing. Like, if you can make it past that first episode, like, you're really in for the ride. And I did find out from somebody who worked on the show that, and this person will be working for Bethenny. Well, you and I called it, that it was going to be Maloxy.
Yeah, we both felt like that at the start, I think.
Although, you know what? In the finale, halfway through, I was like, oh my God, I think I really want Kristen to get it.
I started feeling like that too, because I thought Kristen was really good at the job. She was quite unflappable, which Bethenny needs someone that, like, if Bethenny's screaming at you, she needs you to like not fall to pieces and then to just be like, okay, what do you want me to do to fix this? Because she's so unpredictable and all over the place. With this being a real show, I think that's why, like, the casting, there weren't many big characters, with the exception of Rose and like Brody, who was only in for 1 episode. They didn't have big characters, and I don't know, I kind of feel conflicted about it, because on one hand, the people felt more like real applicants and real people, but then secondly, they weren't the big personalities that we need on these types of shows. So that's kind of where it went wrong a little bit, because there's still that part of you that's craving, like, you kind of want like 5 rosés, you know what I mean?
5 rosés.
Like and then just because other people were, I don't know, like even Kristen had great style. I really enjoyed watching her fashion, because she always had like some new power suit and like ankle boots.
I found her to be the most watchable.
I felt like personality wise, not as much. And also, did you feel like there was this huge feud with Wendy and Rose that we didn't see? Because they started fighting, Rose and Wendy. And then apparently they'd been like fighting all this time. We hadn't seen it.
Is that true?
Yeah, well, so when I interviewed Rose, she did not like Wendy, and I was like, because we hadn't seen it on the show. And then they kind of addressed it in 1 episode, and they had like a sit down and they talked about going for tit for tat, but it was obvious that it had been ongoing throughout the show, but we hadn't really seen it as like a storyline. Like usually on a show like this, you would see them going back and forth for a while, and it would like come to a head, and they would have a sit down, and we didn't see that. I wonder if Bethenny is like, I don't want my show to be about drama. Like, this is all business, I don't know.
I know she said in the interview she did with you that they found her on Instagram, which, okay, if they're just looking for influencers, I don't know where they found the others, like Maloxy. I don't know that they would have found her on Instagram. I don't know where they found, like, where did they find that random ass guy? The guy who came in and was eliminated within the same episode, like that older guy in the suit.
Oh my God, yes, the old gay guy in the flamboyant, and he started crying.
Yes.
And Bethenny made him cry. Yeah, well, look, I looked up a couple of them on social media, because Kristen was an influencer as well. She's she's more of an aspiring influencer, because she only had 10,000 followers, and she had some business in her bio, and I clicked the business page, and that was only on like 600 followers or something. So, and she said she was an accountant as well. So I think, okay, you're an accountant that like wants to be famous. You know what I mean? I'm curious about everyone's credentials, because wasn't Maloxy saying that she was like running like Condé Nast?
Yes.
Condé, I don't know how to pronounce it.
Yeah. Yeah, she had, I think, like a real resume. They all did have to like sort of give their like business wins, their business losses. They did have to go through quite a bit of casting.
You know what? That first episode, I think they had some other quirky characters that were going to be good TV. Like they had May, the sock girl, the Asian girl that just makes socks, and she had like a sock business. And then they had this guy Ali who was he would have been funny to see with Bethenny because he was like very PC because he ran some like the diversity HR department somewhere, which is obviously not going to clash with Bethenny, who's just like has like no filter. So I feel like they had some more of those bigger characters, and I think Bethenny was just like no, like she wanted like the businessy people. Like she wasn't keeping the people that were just going to be good for TV. It was like, no, I really need someone that can do this fucking job.
It was so interesting how it really did shift. Like those first two episodes truly were just a runway for Bethenny to strut down in Balmain. That was all that those first two episodes served. And then as it went on, particularly like the last like two episodes, it was like, oh, this is like it feels like there are stakes here, or it felt more serious, just as compelling, but I definitely felt like a tonal shift.
Well, she was saying, right, that this job is for her senior VP of operations or something. She kept describing it as her second hand, her second in charge. I don't think that I felt like the job was just a glorified personal assistant. She's even said in interviews that, yes, you know, you've got to do the big stuff for me and come with me to, you know, HSM, but you've also got to like, you know, fold my bra when I'm traveling. I'm like, that's a personal assistant. Like, that's not like a senior VP.
Like a VP of ops is not making media kits. They're not making websites. You're hiring somebody to do social media. Like that's an intern. Anybody can do social media. It seems like she's transitioning from the Skinny Girl brand to a Bethenny brand because let's face it, the Skinny Girl name, nobody likes that name. It's 2021. We can't, people aren't going to be into that name at this current climate. And if that is the crux of what she's doing is just sort of rebranding all of her different licensing deals, that's the other thing. She keeps saying that she has like all these different categories, all these different brands. It's one brand. It's Skinny Girl / Bethenny. And all she does is licensing. Like she just puts her name on K-cups, like for coffee or shapewear or deli meat, you know.
No, everything.
It's a licensing deal.
Yeah, because, and I can't believe the stuff that she slapped the Skinny Girl name on, because I've Googled it before. Like you said, like the deli meats, I've seen her with like beauty, like bath products, like bath wash and soap wash and stuff. And it's like the cheap thing that you would see on like the bottom shelf at like the pharmacy. You know what I mean? In like the discount section. Like this is, I don't think that it's like this big fabulous brand, although she seems to think that the shapewear does really well. So I don't know. She said that.
Well, it must. I mean, she doesn't seem to think like she's got to know what's making money.
Yeah, I would love to know more of the ins and outs of the business, but I do agree that she's transitioning to more of a Bethenny brand because I think her sunglasses line is like Bethenny. It's not Skinny Girl.
Yes.
And,
Bethenny eyewear that she put on Paul Vernon for a photo op. By the way, a little fun fact: this show was filmed entirely. It's literally like she was dating Paul Vernon. They broke up. The next day, she went and filmed this show for 2 months, wrapped shooting. They got back together like the next week, and he proposed.
Wow. Yeah, I wonder why she didn't show any of her personal relationship though, because the show did straddle a line of like a personal Bethenny show and like a business show, because we were always seeing her just like in her like backstage mingling with her staff and everything, and she would call up Bryn, her daughter. So it was kind of like half a personal show about her as well.
See, I didn't see it as a personal show about her at all. I saw this as a way for her to stay on TV, to publicize the brand without having to do the personal shit that she had to do on Housewives.
Well, the whole thing was every episode was like a commercial for her, like full, like it was literally a commercial for her products. Like every single different thing was some Bethenny product, something about her brand. It was like incredible that she was able to get a 7-part series just advertising her brand on air. I mean, no one watched it, but
I mean, do you think, did anybody but us, meaning Housewives people like Bethenny slash Real Housewives of New York fans, did anybody but us watch this? Like, did people in the real world watch this?
No, not a chance. Although, to be honest, maybe more people would have watched it in Australia, actually, because I noticed that with Hey, which is the app that everyone outside of America uses now to watch NBC Bravo content, it's like a Netflix for reality TV. On Hey, all of the branding, like when you open the Hey app, it's like Big Shot with Bethenny. Like she had like the main billing over like,
You're
you know,
kidding.
like over the new episodes of Housewives and stuff. Because she is a big name. Like, she's a big celebrity, you know what I mean? So
that is shocking to me because on HBO Max, I had to dig every single time to find the new episode. And even that, I was like, does this HBO Max not know me at all? Like, that's like what I've been watching. It wouldn't be like, oh, here's your new episode, the way like Netflix or Amazon, like, 'cause I went on a whole Summer House moment prior to this. I rewatched like every old season of Summer House prior to The Big Shot starting, and even Amazon, like the algorithm like just worked better. There was no publicity on the HBO Max app, and it wouldn't even recommend it to me. It doesn't know me at all, does it? Like,
well, HBO Max was a terrible home for this show, first of all. Like, it should have been on Peacock, because as much as Bethenny wants to think, oh my God, I'm like a HBO girl, like I'm leaving the Bravo brand, it's like, no, the only people that want to fucking watch The Big Shot with Bethenny are people that know you from Bravo. So like, go on Peacock or...
Yeah, but this is where she was making money. Trust me, Trust me, HBO has a bigger budget than...
Do you think
Peacock.
They paid much money for this, though? I could totally see Bethenny not getting that much cash from it and just going there for the prestige.
I think she was definitely paid because of Mark Burnett. Why would he attach himself to it if there's no money?
I didn't find this show to be big budget because all of the challenges and stuff were filmed in really like this one office space, pretty much. Like the whole thing was pretty much this office space. And then like she was doing confessionals in the car, like you said, which made it very interesting because to see someone just do a confessional when they're getting chauffeured around on the... And by the way, she is so talented as a reality star because so many other reality people, right? If you have to do a confessional with them, you've got to sit there with the producer for hours having someone coaxing lines out of them. Bethenny's like, put a fucking camera in front of her face, bada bing, bada boom, like she's knocking it out. Like she's very talented.
I think I had once read an interview with one of the producers of Real Housewives of New York, and in speaking about Bethenny and the different confessionals, they said that Bethenny in the confessionals, she would speak in paragraphs. Like she would just like churn it out. Whereas I'm sure other people like Tinsley or people who just aren't as seasoned, they wouldn't really know what to say and would need to be fed lines. Teresa's lines are literally scripted in the confessionals. And she asks them, how do you want me to say it?
Oh, wow. That actually does not surprise me at all because she can barely even string a sentence together just like having a conversation with someone. So, of course, like she wouldn't be able to do a confessional. So I just want to get back to with this job. So do you think that this job is just a personal assistant job, but like a fancy PA?
I think we'll have to wait and see. The person, Malaxi, couldn't start until all of this aired. So the job hasn't even started yet. So I think it's a TBD on that. Do you think there will be a second season? And what does that mean? We're still looking for the fucking person?
I would love if they were still looking, didn't work out. It'd be like Paris Hilton's BFF. Oh, I'm sorry, I need a new BFF now. It's a new season. No, but I would actually love if they kept the show as The Big Shot and they just put someone different, like The Big Shot with Candy Burris. You know what I mean? Like if they had just had a new person in it. It's only like 6 or 7 episodes and I kind of wish they would.
But then what's Bethenny going to do next?
Well, I don't know. Walking away from Housewives, it's tough. You can be a big name like Bethenny, but it's not that easy to just snap your fingers. Like, I mean, she tried the talk show thing. It didn't work out. She is in a branding transition stage too, like you mentioned, because Skinny Girl doesn't really work in 2021. She wants things to be more around herself as a brand. I mean, she's going all in on the podcast, but you raised a really good point with me, which was that she wasn't doing the podcast while Big Shot was airing, and she could have done all this cross promotion, and she went on a fucking podcast break. Like, that's bad business.
I mean, how did her assistant or her VP of, I mean, that should have been Meloxy's like first bit of advice for her, would have been use the podcast to publicize this show. They should have had every single one of the people. Like, instead, fucking you're getting interviews with DJ Rose and all these other people. That should have been Bethenny.
Yes, 100%. And also, we'll just add, I had to reach out to get Rose. It wasn't like HBO Max is approaching media and podcasters going, oh, we want to promote this show. Do you want to have someone from the show on? It's like, you know, all the gays that were watching, that love Housewives and that were watching Big Shot because they watch RHONY, then they see obviously DJ Nicole Rose is the most like reality, you know, fame sort of person off that show. So she's the one you're going to reach out to. So it's like we all reach out to her. Of course, Rose is going to say yes to everything. And that was like, there wasn't that much promo. Like, fucking Bethenny should send fucking Rose a pay bonus, because Rose promoted that show more than Bethenny did.
Isn't it funny how Bethenny went on Watch What Happens Live to promote her podcast, but not this show? That is weird.
Well, maybe they were annoyed that it wasn't on Peacock. I think it's a Peacock type show. Like, I think it should have been on Peacock. I don't think it should have been on HBO Max. I think for it to be on HBO Max, it would have had to be the more conventional, like, let's just do The Apprentice with Bethenny in it. You know what I mean? Whereas this was, you know, and this also was like, this show was like a vanity project. I mean, like, to the extreme. Like, it was just all, like, it was all about her. It was also, you know, I love Bethenny, right? But to see a whole show really around her, it's like you really see her narcissism like in full force right in front of your face. Like on The Housewives, you see it there, but it's obviously like this an ensemble cast and there's other things going on, but just having Bethenny right there front and center with you every time, every confessional, it's like, oh wow, this she loves herself.
My number one complaint with the show, false advertising with Dorinda. She was there for 2 seconds in the finale at Bethenny's 50th birthday party. I thought that Dorinda was going to be like a coach or be able to like give her 2 cents, like give some thoughts on the contestants.
What advice could Dorinda give? She's a washed up drunk. Like,
I needed her though. Then why did they put her in the damn trailer?
Well, because they needed, like, that's what I mean. Like, the only people that watch this are Housewives fans. So why the fuck was it on HBO Max? Like, people are going, oh my God, Dorinda's in the trailer. Like, and that's a selling point because Housewives fans are watching it. Like, you know, business people aren't watching it.
No, they are not.
You know, they're fucking, the Shark Tank hosts aren't watching it, you know?
But by the way, did you watch Bethenny Ever After?
No, I didn't, but it's funny because that show seems to have really lived on because I still see people constantly like tweeting about it and referencing it. It's like kind of iconic.
Oh, it's insanely iconic. You need to go back and watch that show. Entirely different human being. You absolutely need to go watch that show. Oh, wow,
okay.
Particularly because, so this one featured her 50th birthday, and there's an infamous episode of Bethenny Ever After. The title of the episode is Fleeing from 40, and she has a complete breakdown at her 40th birthday party that Jason Hoppy plans for her, and Ramona is there, Alex McCord is there, and that episode is iconic. Jason Hoppy's parents give her like a really awkward gift and she's crying. Bryn is like an infant.
And does it seem real? Like she's not just turning it up?
Oh no, she like goes into she goes into like a closet or a bathroom and wherever they were throwing this and like closes the door and is like sobbing in front of Jason Hoppy.
Oh my God. Yeah, I have to watch
this. I just don't want to celebrate my birthday. I just don't want to celebrate my birthday. It was her 40th birthday. So she's come a long way. She seemed happy on her 50th.
Oh, she was loving it. She's like, look how far I've come. She's like, this is 50 because she looked fucking amazing. Like I don't know what she's had like done. I know you did an interview with about how she's had like facial work done.
My interview with Isaac Mizrahi, he claimed that she had massive facial reconstruction, but maybe the joke's on me because I really believe I believe Bethenny when she says it is just Botox in the jaw. Am I the idiot?
I believe her too, but I tend to like, I actually take a lot of things that celebrities say at face value. You know what I mean? Like when someone goes, "Oh, I didn't do that," I'm like, "Okay, you didn't do it." Because I think because I'm really honest, it's you don't think of everyone else as like lying about shit like that because like you would tell the truth. But she looked amazing. Did you love her fashion? Because I thought her fashion was like one of the main
Yes,
stars of the show. Like
for
they would.
sure. Because she always looked great on Housewives, but this was next level.
This was incredible. This was kind of like if she was on Beverly Hills, where they all have a glam squad every scene. Like she should have done this on Beverly Hill. I mean, on New York. She looked incredible. How her body is insane. She's so skinny, but it looks fucking amazing. She has the tiniest waist.
Wait, you know what I said? I was talking to Ryan Bailey, and I said, he goes out of nowhere. He's like, "Do you find Bethenny attractive?" He's like, "Do you think she's hot?" And I was like, "No, that's a body that needs clothes, and that's a voice that needs a face."
I think she's attractive. I think it's the personality because the personality is so full on. It's so funny you mentioned that because when I was watching the last episode, in my head, I was imagining Bethenny behind closed doors with like her, boyfriend or a husband or whatever. And I was like, how would she act? Would she like end up being like girly and coquettish and like vulnerable? Or I was trying to picture it.
I mean, this is why you need to go watch Bethany Ever After.
Yeah, I do.
You'll get the full picture.
Wasn't she just always emasculating him constantly?
Well, there was a whole power struggle between the two of them, but she really played into the idea that she's the crazy one and he's the normal one, and eventually, I think she began to resent him because the viewers saw him as the normal one. I think she just resented the sort of narrative that they were creating together, and it just imploded.
Yeah, I think that her relationship now, I think she's just in a better place to be with someone because she's had time to sit with the fame and to get comfortable in where she is. Whereas at the time with Jason Hoppy, she was still like clawing her way, up the ladder to like where she wanted to be, like in a fucking maniacal fashion. Whereas I think now she's probably like come back down to earth a little bit as far as Bethenny can.
I would love to get your 2 cents because we briefly just mentioned Bethany's talk show, which was initially born out of Ellen. What is your opinion of Ellen? And just, she's announcing that like that show is finally ending.
Just think she's so boring. I think the show was horrible. I think it was a terrible show. Like who fucking watches it? It was just like the lamest, like midday filler. The guest interviews were boring. Like playing pranks on people was stupid. I thought it was just a horrible show. As far as Ellen being a bitch, I'm sure she was, although I don't know. I don't care. Like, go away. I didn't watch it. I don't like any I think America has the worst like daytime shows and late night talk shows. I hate all of them. I can't think of what. I like Wendy Williams.
What about The View? Yeah, The View and Wendy
God,
Williams.
I fucking hate The View. Actually, makes my head explode.
Why?
I messaged Grant's Rants the other day, like in a rage because I purposely don't watch The View, but then all the gays on my timeline will like tweet fucking like clip like, "Oh my god, did you see Joy like laying to Megan this week?" I just think it's horror. I mean, they basically all have the same view. I mean, it's really not a
What do you mean they've got Meghan McCain on there?
Yeah, but I mean, she's like a centrist Republican with a bunch of like centrist sort of neoliberal Democrats. It's really not that far. I feel for Meghan McCain on that show. And by the way, I say that as I think she's awful. Like I think she's annoying. I don't agree with her politics, but I feel for her having to go in there every time and get dogpiled by these like coven of witches. They're all such hypocrites. The clip that I saw the other day had my blood boiling because it really shows what this show is all about. Like Joy Reid was going off on Meghan, and she was like, "Oh, should we call the Republicans the QAnon party now? Because you guys are defending Matt Gaetz." And I'm like, "Well, fuck, should we call the Democrats the fucking nursing home death party because you guys defend Andrew Cuomo?" Like, you guys just accuse each other of what the other person does, and act like it's like you're both sitting there with shit on your face, and Joy Reid's going, "Oh my god, Meghan McCain, you have shit on your face," but you have shit on your face.
Why are you
too.
saying Joy Reid? Do you mean Joy Behar?
Oh, Joy Behar, sorry.
Who's Joy Reid?
Joy Reid's an MSNBC pundit who hilariously got caught writing homophobic blog posts, and then they called her out on it, and then she said Russians hacked her blog. I was like, no, they didn't. You obviously wrote the post.
I'm like, he's talking about Joy Reid's. Like, what?
Yeah, no, I'm talking Joy Behar, but I despise them all. I think it's the worst show. I think it's a good format. Like, I wish I could recast it.
First of all, they need to, because I watch the clips every day on YouTube. That Grant and I are aligned on that. We watch the clips, and we're actually going to do a big thing on The View. Like, eventually, we're going to plan something this summer, but they need to get back in the studio audience. It is terrible with this Zoom format because all they're doing is monologuing for about 90 seconds or 2 minutes a piece. And it's like monologue. And The View is built on people being able to interrupt. You need Whoopi to be able to interrupt Meghan McCain and be like, no, yada, yada, yada.
What I cannot stand about the show is I think that it exacerbates and highlights like the worst of political discourse, because it really is. I mean, it's just the Real Housewives with sort of somewhat political topics. Mm-hmm. And it really is just thrives on people arguing with each other in the stupidest way over the stupidest stuff in the most hypocritical way. And there's nothing gets solved. It's just like, my guy's better than your guy, and insulting. I just think it's so gross. I think it's so toxic for the political discourse overall. I hate it. I hate all of them. I hate Meghan. I hate Joy. I hate Whoopi.
You hate Joy?
I hate Anna. Okay, you know what? I will admit this.
And also, what do you think?
There's something likable about Joy Behar that, even though I disagree with her politics, I think she's such a hypocrite.
Why do you think Joy Behar is a hypocrite?
Because, like I said, like she'll accuse, it's kind of like you'll point out what the Republicans, it's like you'll point out the sex offender on the Republican side, but then you'll like cover for the sex offender on the Democratic side. And the same with Meghan McCain. She'll make an excuse for someone on her side, but then she'll call out the Democrat that does it. It's just like, oh my God, you guys are literally just accuse each other of what the other person does. They drive me crazy. Anna Navarro, cannot stand her.
What about Sunny Hostin?
Oh my God, I cannot stand Sunny. I think she's evil. They're just the worst of American politics. They make my head explode. Like, I cannot stand them.
Well, I disagree with you on all of this, but I completely agree with your take on Ellen. I have never, ever liked Ellen.
She's awful. I mean, I don't even think she's that talented. Yeah,
she had a few great stand-up specials, but totally unappealing.
Like I said, the only person I think in American daytime that's worth watching is Wendy Williams. Mm-hmm. She's the only person with kind of like an opinion and a personality. Everyone else is just boring.
She had a great response to Ellen leaving.
Oh, what did she say?
She's basically like, oh, Ellen's saying that, like people never said that they had a bad experience. She's like, I did.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah, I love Wendy, and it's nice to see Wendy kind of like back on the saddle doing well, because there was that time for like, it actually went for quite a while. It was like she was forgetting what she was saying. It was like, you could see all the stuff that was going on. It was like affecting the show really negatively. And it's so good to see her just back and like normal, and she can carry the show again for like the old days. I love it.
Let's talk about the Beverly Hills premiere and how we feel about RHONY so far.
I love it. I always love the premiere of any new housewife, like even the housewife shows that I don't like. I'm always kind of like, it's nice when you get the premiere and it feels fresh and there's new people and new storylines and stuff. How do I feel? I can't believe they're still talking about Denise. I can't stand Garcelle. I think Garcelle's playing to the audience 100% now with the whole Denise thing, which is a pattern with Beverly Hills, which was really like exemplified the most by Lisa Vanderpump, is that they read Twitter and then they try to play to what the people on Twitter say. I feel like Garcelle's doing that now, dragging out this Denise stuff, and it's so annoying seeing her constantly come at Kyle when Kyle really is like, all last season Garcelle kept coming, like Kyle didn't do anything to her, and then even on the premiere she's like, oh, I called my fish Kyle because it's ordinary. It's like, girl, like Kyle's not doing anything to you, like leave her alone. The Erica stuff is fun because the producers are obviously like showing her like flashing all her wealth because they want to get her in trouble or something.
They are the editors are having a field day. Well, first of all, I completely disagree with what you're saying about Garcelle. I love Garcelle. Like, I'm down with whatever she's doing with Kyle. Like, I love Garcelle. And I like that she's more comfortable in like calling shit out so far. As what do you say?
It's fake. You'll all see the truth with Garcelle. Just wait.
Okay, well, let's see. Let's see if we see it. With Erica, it's so funny to just see how they're editing the show. Like, there's these brooding scenes of Erica, which, by the way, the confessionals were filmed. The sort of like moody, brooding, sort of like downtrodden confessionals that she was doing. Those were filmed after the news had broke.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's interesting.
Because she was posting on social media. You know how they always show their confessional outfits? And that was afterward. So just keep that in mind as far as, you know, when you guys are watching. I mean, they want to make you think that she's saying all this. Nobody would be able to foreshadow the amount of foreshadowing that's being done. It's like, okay, Shakespeare. But I really enjoyed it. And I didn't realize until literally about an hour ago, I was like, wait a second, something was missing, and it was so great. Like, it felt lighter and fresh, and I realized Teddy is gone.
Well, I loved Teddy. I'm the number one Teddy stan.
Are you serious?
I literally all last season, every fucking week, I was like on there writing for Teddy. And I didn't like Teddy when she first joined the show. And it was when she started calling people out on their shit. And I was like, oh my, like Teddy really helped carry that last season. I think it was so unfair. She was thrown under the bus and cut from the show because she was pregnant. So she couldn't participate as much. And she did hold people accountable and called people out on shit. And I fucking loved it. Like when she went against Lisa Vanderpump and then she went against Denise, she was really underrated. I wish they had kept her on even just as a friend or something.
I wouldn't be surprised if she pops in as a friend because she is legit close with Kyle.
Yeah, I know, for sure. So I do wish they would keep her on. I love Lisa Rinna. I was disappointed in the premiere to see Lisa Rinna going, you know, I was a real cunt to Denise. I'm like, no, you weren't. Like, if someone comes on a reality show and they're lying, it's fair game. It's fair game. And someone was like, oh, Rinna throws everyone under the bus. Like, whoever she's thrown under the bus, they deserved it. Lisa Vanderpump was lying and doing all that stuff, obviously. So Rinna called it out. Kim Richards was still drinking, still a drunk, still a fucking, you know, an addict and a mess and toxic and gross. And Rinna was right about all of that. Like, and at the time, I was on Kim's side because I did love Kim. And then, you know, I look back, I'm like, okay, Rinna was right about all of that. And then what she said about Denise was correct. So, you know, to frame it like, oh my God, we can't trust you, Rinna. Like, if you're not hiding things and, you know, you're fine. Like, Rinna's not going to drag you. It's just don't come on a reality show like this where you're all getting paid like a real lot of money. It's a huge platform, and then think that you can just create your own narrative of whatever you want.
What was your take on Crystal Minkoff?
Well, first of all, love her style. I just love her fashion. It's so chic and clean, and you know, I put this on my Instagram stories, like money talks, wealth whispers. Like, she just looks like a rich bitch.
Dorinda. You stole that from Dorinda.
Well, no, everyone knows that saying.
Dorinda said that. And
no, don't make me like a fucking undercover Dorinda stan. Gross. But because Dorit's style drives me insane. I think Dorit has the worst style of almost any housewife because it's so artificial, it's so soulless, it's so like copy and paste from a lookbook and a stylist. There's no personality to it. It relies way too much on just gaudy designer labels of like, I'm just gonna slap Chanel like across my sweater. It's so gross, and I hate when people are like, oh my God, like the fashion queen. I'm like, no. So I just loved seeing Crystal's whole vibe. I have to see more of her to like get her personality.
What about Kathy Hilton admitting that she was like ripping teeth out of the Richard sisters' mouths? What was she talking about? What was that?
It's really fun having Kathy, I think, in the mix, and definitely as a friend, because I don't think it would work with her as a full-timer, but I think it's fun to have her as like the kooky sister popping around. She does look very plastic now. She looks like Caitlyn Jenner, but right before the transition.
Okay.
Like that's no, she does with the getting the face pulled back. It looks exactly. Go and look at the pictures when Caitlyn was first growing the hair out and was like getting the fillers, but hadn't transition. That's kind of like what Kathy looks like now. But she seems like nice and funny. I'm excited for the season. Oh, and I love Erica's style, by the way. So I really enjoy looking at Erica in every scene and seeing what she does.
I always love looking at Erica. Like I just like her whole vibe. I know this is like at this point very unpopular. Like I have a friend who's like, I fucking hate her. He's like, I used to love her and I'm just like sick of her. He literally texted me like hours ago. He's like, I'm so sick of Erica's shit. I'm like, okay, calm down. Like,
I'm really
relax.
not. And you know, I think I've always been biased towards Erica, just the fact that I liked her music before the show. Like I was already a fan of her music before she did Beverly Hills and
wow.
enjoyed her. So I've always kind of, even though I know she's horrible, by the way. So I'm not saying she's like a good person or anything, but I've just always liked watching her on the show.
I don't believe that she knew really much of anything about what was going on with Tom.
I don't think so either, really. I think she was in her own world. I think she was in her world of being famous and being a performer.
They
and
were
a pop
living
star
separate lives.
Yeah. And he was so rich. And, you know, she came from being like, she was a cocktail waitress or something that married an old rich man. Like, is she really going to be like combing through his finances? She just wanted a good life and a setup and to do her own thing. And they seemed to have an arrangement that worked. And when he needed, you know, a wife to accompany him to, you know, fucking legal dinners and charity functions or whatever, she was there. So I don't think she really knew, but we'll see what comes out. It'll all come out in the case, honestly. Whatever the case says, I'll believe. I'm just waiting for whatever, like, you know, the verdict.
And so far, Real Housewives of New York, people are shitting on it. And
I know.
I don't know what I'm going to do.
I like it. Yeah, I don't know. I'm like, what are you guys watching? Like, I think this season's good. And by the way, I'm like pretty tough on housewife shows these days. Like there's some that I've stopped watching. I stopped watching Jersey. I did tune in for the reunion, but I stopped watching that halfway through. I'm like, this is just boring and fake. I stopped watching Dallas because it was horrible. So I'm not like, I stan every housewives, but like, I think that the new season's really fun. Like they're fun, big characters. It's cool getting to know Ebony. Like Ramona's hilarious as always. I always did not like Dorinda, so I'm enjoying not having Dorinda's energy there. Sonia drives me nuts usually, and I usually kind of can't stand her. And then that last episode when she got drunk and was out of her mind and just completely insane, I'm like, oh wow, this is like some good TV. Like this is amazing. Because with Sonia, I feel like she's constantly doing this like Lucille Ball act where it's like very contrived scenes when they come in, and like that annoys me where she's like pottering around. She's obviously like come up with the scene in her mind, but the meltdown was very authentic, so I loved that.
I am really drawn into the Luann Leah McSweeney like conversations about drinking because that's real.
Yeah, well, my theory is that I don't think that Luann is sober. I think Luann, or even if she is, I think she's highlighting this to sell this fake rosé. Like, I think it's all just a ploy to sell her new rosé.
Do you think she will get DJ Rosé to be some sort of like sponsor?
Oh my God. I'm not even kidding. I'm going to message Rosé and I'm going to be like, girl, like, oh my God, you should reach out to Luann.
Product. DJ Nicole Rosé should DJ at the launch party for Luann's Rosé.
Amazing. Oh my God. I'm literally going to tell, because they're in New York as well. They're both New York based. That's fucking amazing. Yeah.
Luann doesn't need to sell this rosé. Like she needs to make $5 from this. She makes the money from the touring.
I know.
Why is she bothering with this? It's so weird.
I know, and that's why, and I feel like I think Bravo doesn't want people just flogging like a product every season. Like it has to feel organic and part of your life, which is why I really think Luann has gone and concocted this whole storyline about I need to drink this pretend rosé to stay sober, because it really is just about selling this fucking drink. But yeah, I love the season so far.
Do you remember when Luann, a few seasons ago, Luann was when she was married to Tom, she came out with like a bedding collection. It was the Countess collection. She went on Wendy Williams to promote it. Do you remember this? God.
She did, and she was selling stuff on, it wasn't QVC, it was like Evine or whatever, like one of the smaller home shopping networks, and she was doing like her Countess jewelry or something. Yeah, she was just flogging crap.
Like, I'd rather see her do I mean, she doesn't need to do any of this. Like, save yourself the damn headache having to taste these stupid rosés. Like, just go on tour. You're going back on tour. It's fine. She's already announced dates.
I don't think that the tour makes that much money. So
it does.
By the time you've paid everyone, is she taking home much? Because you've got to pay. Like, it's quite a production.
She's selling out huge theaters.
Yeah. I don't know. I would be interested to see how much she's making. I guess she would be making a lot of merch because everyone's buying merch when they go there. So that would be a money maker for her. But yeah, I don't think that a lot of the New York women have as much money as people think that they have. Like, I think they need the show. I think that's why Sonia and Ramona go to a lot of extremes to stay on. Like, 100%. I felt like that last season. Yeah, like the last season with Sonia when she was like pissing in the bush and everything, I was like, wow, she's just fucking doing anything she can to like stay on this show. Like, she'll like debase herself in any way to keep this paycheck coming on. Like, even with Dorinda, she was getting her apartment comped or whatever and then that came out, and then she had to move back to the fucking Berkshires without the show. Like, they're not as rich as, people think.
Now, with the title of your show Unpopular, is it because you just like have these unpopular opinions?
Yeah, I kind of made it as like a bit tongue in cheek as well, because I am always just naturally a contrarian my entire life on everything. So when I was coming up with it, I cover a lot of stuff. Like, I don't just do Housewives. I talk about other things too, but I was thinking of like, I don't like Garcelle. I don't like Dorinda. You know what I mean? Like the obvious, like the fan favorites that people like that's never where I fall on things. It's always some kind of contrarian thing, and it's not contrived. Like, it's literally just how I feel about stuff. So,
I mean, if you're saying you love Teddy, I mean, you're a mess.
Yeah, I love Teddy. Oh my girl, I'm like a teddy bear. That's my fandom name for the Teddy. With the teddy bear.
Have you found another Teddy fan?
Yes, there was some, because there were people that recognized what she brought to that season, in calling people out and everything. And the trolling that Teddy got was so horrible. The Beverly Hills fans are out of control. Like, they are the most, out of all of the Housewives like fandoms on Twitter and stuff, they're the most toxic. And I'll put myself in that category because, when Lisa Vanderpump was on, she drove me up the wall, and I could not stop tweeting about, get her off the show. She's evil. She's manipulating everyone. So like, I'm the worst too. I put myself in there, but yeah, they're out of control. I think I posted on my stories yesterday. I tweeted something about Garcelle, and someone was like, this racist white faggot won't stop talking about Garcelle. Like, they're beyond. Like, they're fucking Beverly Hills fans. So,
okay, final question. If you lived in America and you lived on the East Coast, would you go to BravoCon?
You know what? So when they had the first BravoCon, absolutely. I would have been there with bells on. Now, yeah, I wouldn't go. You know what? Now I'm in the podcasting space. Everyone annoys me. The fans annoy me. Like, half the shows I'm not even watching. Like, I hate everyone. I don't want to be around them. Like, I hate the fan accounts. Like, I've been unfollowing these. Like, you guys aren't good at making memes. Like, I have these Bravo memes in my feed constantly. Like, making a meme is a talent. Like, when Danny Pellegrino started doing it, he was really good at it. Like, his memes are fucking funny and on point. And it's like, now everyone's making these stupid Bravo Housewives memes. Like, they're not funny. It'll just be like, my face when whatever. It's like, you're just making content to make content. So everyone drives me crazy, and I actually have been wanting to unfollow all the Bravo accounts, but like, some of them follow me back, so I keep following them because it's so harsh when you're a mutual with someone. Yeah, it's really harsh to like unfollow, so I'm just muting. But so no, I don't. The Bravo fans are driving me nuts. I think because now that I do cover a lot of Bravo on my show, and it's like I'm too immersed in it. I can't go to like BravoCon as well. With that said, if someone was like, "Oh my god, I have a free ticket to BravoCon,"
you would be there.
Of course, I'm going to go. But am I going to go like out of my way and like pay for a ticket for it and stuff? Like, no. And you know what? Also, I will say, I don't mean this in like a conceited way or whatever, but like, because I already work in media, and I can kind of like, like I know some of these people anyway, or I talk to them, or I can have them on my podcast. It's not like,
when you say you work in media, you mean your Daily Mail job?
Yeah. So I work in like, Daily Mail journalism here in Australia, and I've done other stuff. And then with the podcast, and I can like reach out and like, I can go, oh my God, I want to interview, Tamara or whatever and have her on my show. Whereas if you're just a viewer and then like the BravoCon is like the only opportunity you're going to have, like, oh my God, I want to go see Dorinda in person. Like, I totally get that. But with me, it's kind of like my job as well. So it's like, I don't need to be there.
I love you. I love a contrarian. I get such a kick out of you. I mean, we're gonna keep doing this, just like not recorded. I love it. I could listen to you bitch all day long, but not about Joy Behar. She's sacred.
You know what? No, but let me just clarify with the Joy Behar thing, because I hate the view. There is something very likable about her, and I often think in my head, even when I see her, I'm like, oh my God, I so disagree. Like, you're being such a hypocrite, but there's just something inherently very likable about her. I don't know what it is.
She used to be a school teacher.
Oh, really?
Yes.
We love a school teacher.
Yes.
Shout out to the teachers out there.
Yes.
I know you're doing it tough in the pandemic. So yeah, she actually is the most likable one. And you know what? I just get passionate about things and like I lose it. Like even Whoopi, when I was growing up, Jumpin' Jack Flash was like one of my favorite movies when I was a kid. With her in it, I used to watch that all the time. So you know what? Whatever. They're fine.
Now they're fine. Tell everyone where they can follow you on Instagram and where to find your podcast.
Yes, guys, please sub to my podcast. You can find it obviously on all the podcast apps. Unpopular with Jacques Peterson. You can follow me on social media at UnpopularJP on Twitter and Instagram. And yeah, all the links are there. Please check out my show.
You are a particularly good Twitter follow.
Oh, well, that's okay. So I have two Twitter accounts. I have my personal one, which is Arcady Blog. I don't advertise that as much because that one is a bit of a mess. Like I always plug the podcast one because it's just podcast related news. Because I'm like, I don't want to subject people to,
which is the one that comes up in all caps that just says Jacques.
That's Arcady Blog.
That's the one that I love. I love the secret one. The secret one's the best one. I got news for you.
I'm just like, I need to get off Twitter. Like, I'm a Twitter addict.
No,
I hate it.
No. I need you. I need you.
I tweet and delete a lot. I just can't shut the fuck up, and it drives me crazy. And I hate that I'm addicted to Twitter. I'm like,
you're
everything
maniac.
that I hate about other people, I am.
Guys, you can follow me, Jess XNYC. Follow the show account, Hot Takes Deep Dives, and Jacques, baby. We will see you soon. Thanks, Jacques.